Hi guys, we're here to do an update for the new moon coming up on the 21st. Now, I'm speaking quietly because it's quite late and I've had a cancellation, so I thought I'd get in and we'd have a quick chat about the new moon. New moon, full moon. Jeez Louise. I'll wait for a few people to connect and then we'll get started. I do need to be quiet though because people are sleeping. It's one of those things. How many people do we have connected? I'm just rolling a smoke and no, I don't promote, okay? Definitely. I do smoke. Who do we have connected? I'm wondering if the actual chat. Hi Rose, how are you? Now I want to talk about the actual astrological aspects of what's coming up. I've done a bit more research. It's going to be a very interesting transit. Hi, Sarah. Bloody dog. Some of the things that are coming up in the next few weeks, and really just looking at it, where the nodes were last year, we didn't really pay a lot of attention to. Now, the nodes in traditional Western astrology. Hi, guys. Hi. Hi, Darry. How are you, Dal? Now, for the entirety of the year, they're going to be in Cancer and Capricorn, and a lot of the planets are actually in their own home sign. There is this frequency that's coming through in the next transit, and that's coming up in next month. We've got Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto retrograde. Now, it's for around about a 5-month stint, and I was saying to giggle the other day, it's quite funny because when we had retrograde last year, we didn't really notice it as much because we had so many planets retrograde. So it was almost like a bombardment of planets in retrograde. With the Libra moon, a lot of what is going to come through is what are we directly passionate about, and a lot of us have been doing this assessment at the moment, really looking at our lives, trying to get the financial balance, trying to get the home base, balanced, and trying to get everything really at a balanced frequency. Now, the interesting thing is the sun and the moon are going to be happening during the equinox. With the energy, the sun is going to be in Aries, the moon is going to be in Libra. So again, interestingly enough, hi Jennifer, it's when you look at the shadow and frequencies coming through, and it's coming through in a way in which it's like we're balancing both of those paradigms inside ourselves, but it's also balancing the aspects of what those houses are directly connected to. Aries is also coming through with Chiron. So we've got those wounds, what we need to let go of energetically in it. Really, when you look at the aspect of Mercury retrograde, we are theoretically moving into the shadow phase of direct. However, moving around that time of the moon, it can be even heavier frequency than we actually had on the 5th. So we can deem it as a direct motion, but when you do look at the chart, it is a heavier frequency around that time frame. So you may find more issues with your communication, your technology, your ability to move forward. The interesting thing is when I did the readings, a lot of the throat chakra cards were upright. The reason being is that we've moved through our consciousness. We really did a lot of healing on our wounds last year. So the way we're dealing with that now is going to be very different. We're looking at the truth that matters. We're reassessing. We're going back to the table. It can be where people come back from the past and, explain how they feel, explain the reasons why they're doing things. It's a time frame in which we're really going to check into, are we emotionally connected in with this path? What are we going to need to do to make that happen? Now, with Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto going retrograde in April, they're going retrograde at different intervals while Mercury moves direct. You'll still have that shadow aspect, which in effect could potentially still have a slight frequency, but a heavier frequency in the first week of April. With that, have a look at what the planets do. Okay, so we've got Saturn retrograde as well. We've then got Pluto, which is about birth and redeath, which is endings and new beginnings. Libra moon at 0 degrees. The first zodiac sign of the house being Aries in the sun frequency. So it's going to be a bloody new start. And, whether we like it or not, some things can come at left field that we don't quite expect. And that frequency has been there for a while. Not necessarily do you need to look at the retrograde cycle as a negative thing. The way I'm perceiving it at the moment is very much a time frame in which we're going to be looking at it saying, okay, now what do we need to do in our higher consciousness and connected to our 3D with the Saturn frequency that perhaps is going to give us an aha moment, an epiphany of an assessment state for 5 months. So it's a bit like 21st dates, and you're going down that path and you're going, okay, so, let's trial this. How's it going? What do we need to change? What potentially could we add to that meal plan? What do we need to take away? And how can we do this differently? So a lot of old things can come up. But, if theoretically you've changed, you can be taking that frequency with you, but old wounds are going to come up as well. But the way in which you're going to directly deal with them can be very different. A lot of prophetic dreams at the moment. So it may be that all of a sudden you are seeing colors and being directly attracted to colors. A lot of downloads, and through my clientele as well, is dreams. Now, through these dreams, it can be directly linking with colors that you're wanting to become creative, or you're attracted to certain colors. Those colors in your chakra are directly correlating with blockages or things that are going to come up through that transit. It can also be where you're becoming more experimental, and that's really with the transit of Taurus in Uranus, with, the beautifying of things. You're going to want to change things. Also, a lot of dreams have been coming through in nightmare state, as well as, feeling that the house is being broken into, or feeling that you're being spiritually attacked. Those of you that are experiencing that can be directly tuning into your, to the collective, or the environment directly around you of what the potentiality is. Feeling quite attacked, quite up. I'm more picking up a higher consciousness of people's intents. So their lower frequency you can directly be tuning into. Again, I can't do much about that. We're Mercury retrograde. I'll try and move it a little bit and hopefully that will work. But we are in Mercury retrograde, so there's not really much I can do about that. And especially seen as Mercury for me, for Libras, is in the house of employment. Yes, it had to happen to me, didn't it? Is that a bit better? Good to know. So be mindful that, look, it's make or break around the Libran moon. Now, in a twin flame journey, it's very different. If you're energetically meant to learn certain things, deal with certain things, that's different. Tuning into of how you're directly approaching it and what your part is in the situation, what you need to do on your side of the fence. There is a purge that's been coming through with Mercury retrograde that is very much connected to the past. So you're looking back down memory lane. You're looking at the things that perhaps didn't work, didn't come through. And, you really wanted them to, but they just didn't. And needing to let them go, needing to understand that reset button with the Libran moon is about the new storyline, and we deem it as the new karmic cycle. Karma is good and bad. If you're putting positive energy out there into the universe and you're keeping it a high frequency and you purged and learnt, then you're in alignment and things are going to keep moving. If you're not, then, lessons come, and that's through Saturn retrograde. And yes, there can be tower moments. A lot of us are dealing with our finances at the moment. We're also seeing how we can fit into the new way and our world moving forward. Don't ever feel that because you have no contact from your counterpart or your high vibration soulmate, that in fact things aren't coming. Everything directly that happens is in alignment to get you to where you need to be, and that's including tower moments. I mean, if I was to sit here and tell you, hello, Angel Wisdom, every tower moment I've had, you're going, Yildiz, how are you standing? I mean, and there's no less or more when it comes to that journey. It's like You could look at it and say, well, hey, if you only listen, Linda, if you only heard my story, it's not a competition. But the reality is in it, you chose a spiritual path. So, for those of you that are twin flames, a lot of what the collective don't understand is that, when you're listening to readers, depending on how long they've been in the journey, depending on if they can look back and actually see some synchronistic patterns, you chose this path prior to coming here. So, in fact, the energy is for you to grow, purge, be the best you can be. You have your ups and your downs. Yes, you reach points of detachment, and that's physically there for you to become that new, unique individual self where you don't want to live without your twin, but vibrationally you can if you need to. And that's required in the twin flame journey. And generally it comes through in a purging sense, because we've had those paradigms that we're breaking down. 2019 is the rebuild factor. So what you're physically doing in your life is for union. That's what you're not understanding. It can feel very icky. It can feel very frightening because you're looking at the 3D. You're very fatigued from last year, and it just feels like a continuity. I'll say a fuckery. It's like, is this ever going to be over? It is. It's just because you're so fatigued from last year. Really, from 2016, a lot of people were changing. So, in the journey, it's what doesn't directly connect with you. It's your work. It's your, the way you relate to family. It's the way you relate to your wounds and alchemizing situations. Going through all of that is horrendous, okay? Masculines also have been going through that, but they've been dealing with it in a different way. A lot of the masculines at the moment are really catching up on lost time. So the patience that you're needing isn't actually patience. You had patience through your own journey. Your turning point and your trigger point is directly coming from your experience of a past tense situation, and therefore you're correlating the links that in fact nothing ever is going to be. It's always going to be the same. And it's actually not always going to be the same because everything changes every day. It's your fair base frequency that's tuning into that. A lot of you guys need to understand that Mercury retrograde is a good time to actually get contact, but we do get triggered thinking, a bit like Venus retrograde. Is this in fact a good time for reconnection? Anytime twin comes directly connected to you is a good time, so it's not a negative time. Anytime you meet someone, even signing contracts, one can say, hey, this isn't a perfect time. The reality is if it's not an alignment, and it's not meant to be there for you, it won't be there. So you can't put your life on hold and not move forward with financial obligations, with applying for jobs, with doing those things, just because it says it's Mercury retrograde and it's not a great time to sign contracts. We had been living through it before knowing about astrology or before becoming cluey connected to it. We may have just been now more in awareness when we're experiencing it. And we do have other intervals this year where Mercury is going retrograde. And yes, they're going to be heavier than what this is. But if you are doing the work and you're moving forward and realizing you can actually swim with the tides and they're there to benefit you, not hinder you, you're going to start working with the planets and understanding the reasons why these things happen. It is going to get easier, but this year is for your success. So everything that is actually happening is there to create that success. Does that make sense? It's scary. Even as a psychic medium, when I tune into the energy, I know it's coming and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't really want that. But it's like, look, it's divinely guided. It really is. You're not broken yet. It feels crap. Yes, we've gone to hell and back, but we're not broken yet. Yes, but I'm whispering because my twin's asleep and he's worked quite a long day. I'm whispering. I don't think a planet can mess it up. I think it comes down to us and the path of what we need to do. So, if there's something in a sense, honestly, a lot of purging has happened, but not the way it was last year. I would also say that a lot of truths are coming out, but it's more because from my side of the fence. Hi, Andrew. It's, how do I put it? A lot of you ask when you come back into union or reunion, do you talk to your twin about the past? Yes and no. There's certain things you gain closure with prior to coming back. There's definitely other things where the discussion happens, but it needs to be in a safe place where there's not attack. And that's because to understand each other's point of view is quite necessary for that movement and the healing forward. But at the same time, you do find that your understanding of the situation becomes different because you're further away from the situation, that it does change. Yes, well, I'm with twin, and I still have I had a dream the other night about twin, and it was conversation. I thought, well, you're bloody here next to me, so why the heck are you getting into my dream space? No, that's actually okay, Madonna. It's not seeing your twin in the 5D is actually quite positive. It's actually a sign of detachment, which is necessary for union. That did happen to me too. But it's also very healthy to detach, which increases and accelerates their healing. So when you're feeling the vibration, you need to breathe it out and release it because, you know, the codependent patterns that are in the connection is almost like, no, that's my side, no, that's your side. And then almost like that savior situation that you have going on of the unconditional love and the compassion can actually hinder the journey where you even accepting the vibration of what's coming in can impact you to a point that it can prevent the forward motion. So 5D detachment isn't bad, but it happens naturally. It's not something you actually go, I want to detach from you in the 5D. It actually subsides during certain intervals and then comes back again. But you intuitively will know if there is an energy of danger. So you'll be able to tune into it and know that that's there and go, oh shit, something's going down. But it'll come in like had nothing and then it'll just come in and you'll know. You'll intuitively also feel an energy around you, like the person is present just before reconnection, but you will directly always have that connection even if it hasn't been there, if that makes sense. I've got bloody messenger up there. People keep messaging me. Any questions? I will pull a few cards in a moment, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up about the moon. You know, I don't want you guys to get too scared about it. If something needs to be released, it'll be released. When it's in alignment, it'll come back. Don't go into panic mode. You are moving forward. You're not moving backwards. Any tower moments that happen are there to help you move forward. Yeah, look, it all depends on your own personal twin flame journey. It also depends on what is happening around you. Some people are super grounded. But again, it depends on the placement, you know, with Mercury, what house it's in. You will find, hi Carmen, you will find at the moment, Cancerians, Aries, Libra, what other zodiac sign, and Capricorn are going to be going through it pretty heavy in the next few weeks. That is because it's your turn for mass transformation, acceleration, and change. Definitely with the moon energy, it doesn't have to be negative, but it's change. It's change happening in you vibrationally. It's release happening in you vibrationally. But don't run. You know, get to a point where you sit in the vibration. And when I say that, I don't mean, hey, put yourself in harm's way. That's bloody ridiculous. I'd never tell you to do that. But to a point where you don't fear it so much that you run away, because then you're missing the point. You know, you're not allowing yourself to grow. If energetically you can cope, facing your fears and dealing with the purge that's coming up, our belief systems are very 3D, which is basically the third wave is really breaking down that paradigm. So facing those fears of what's politically correct, what's in alignment, what does forgiveness mean, you know, how could you forgive? And it's like, well, don't you want unconditional love? And lots of things, you know, lots of breakdowns of those paradigms in it. And it is liberating, but it can feel quite eventful going through those frequencies, needless to say. Carmen, good old K-Town. For those of you in America, it's like we're in the Bronx, but it's not really, but it sort of is. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of things coming up. I agree with the angel wisdom. And it's like, sometimes when you tune into it, the energy can almost feel similar to you tuning into your twin, but it's collective energy. And it depends on where the wounds are. It can even be looking all the way back. Yeah, good old Perth. All the way back to childhood, all the way back to your connection and how you fit into your family, healing that paradigm, nodes in Cancer and Capricorn, where you got to be accountable. It is also a massive karmic end. The frequencies for the next 5 months and directly what we're dealing with is taking accountability, and especially for those zodiac signs, Libra, Aries, Capricorn, what's the other zodiac sign, and Cancer. All of those zodiac signs, it's a direct correlation with yours, and it can be in any place. It can be in your sun, moon, or rising, your birth sign, and different parts in your chart, and it'll directly correlate with that being accountable in that domain. Our sense of self is changing. The way we think about work is changing. The way we value certain things is changing. So our tribes are changing. People we mix with, what we once found valuable, that's changing too. And everyone collectively is going through this. It is collective energy. So it can be that you're thinking, hey, I need to earn money, but I don't want to do X, Y, and Z anymore. Looking at it and getting back to basics, perhaps, what's right for you might not be right for Linda next door, so to speak, as an example. You've got to pick, you've got to come back to self, that whole tribe mentality and tagging and compartmentalizing things is something that's really being purged at the moment. So you've got to find your correct of what's right. I had a chat to a client of mine this morning who I feel she's there like a friend. And, when we're at crossroads, sometimes we can lose hope in the road we're actually on. And I gave an example of years ago, something I went through. And I remember I was living at my mother's house, and I'd been there for 2 years, and it was after a breakup with my twin. Financially, it was during a recession. There was a lot of us packed in like sardines, and I had to work so bloody hard to actually get a job, and it was paying very low at the time. Got out and actually moved into my own house with my child alone. That turnaround was 2 years, but I would say it was a good year of purging. And that was through my awakening process and then owning my power and doing the work to do that. Sometimes we rest on our laurels once we've achieved that. That's almost like 2018 when you look at it. It's like really trying to get your shit together and get out of it, only to reach a point where it is lighter and we are able to manifest, but we're fatigued. And then forgetting the work you've done and then thinking you're actually going backwards. It's a bit like finally getting that house and then going, I really hate this job now, so who cares, is it always going to be the same? I don't have my divine masculine, I don't have my divine feminine, I've got no relationship in my life. What's the point of trying? Think back to the way things were. Are you really willing to forsake all the work you've done, to quit when you are 50 steps ahead? Realize going backwards is non-negotiable. You've really got to think back to how much work you've done. And that's in anything in your life. It can be with your job, it can be with your finances, it can be with the work you've done with your family or your purging. Mentality of quitting is literally, and that's very relevant to what's going on at the moment with the planets. It's how much are you willing to put into your life? What is your life worth? How much work and love are you going to put in? Sometimes we tend to give our power away and we tend to think this person defines us, this person completes us. But very much that's about our cup being half empty, right? If we can't love ourselves, nurture ourselves, provide for ourselves, give to ourselves, the cup's empty. And then when that person comes, the cup is still empty. So therefore, you're needy upon that person because they can't feel that. Your hopes and dreams cannot stop. So, deferring the frequency when you're away from the person you love is very positive because you're building a healthy relationship with yourself. You're saying, look, I'm not dead, I'm here. And yes, okay, the paradigm is, traditionally we'd like the white picket fence and, the happy ending. While you're not having that, why is your whole life on hold for that moment? Do you want to travel? Do you want to create a business? Do you want to exercise and get the hottest body? What do you want to do to achieve? That's a you thing. Your twin can't give that to you. And until you can learn to actually do that yourself, it's an empty victory. And twin coming back would only overshadow the fact that you're missing out on having this time to do those things. Very soon, as soon as you have that shift mentally and you really start focusing energy back on yourself, they directly come back. But it's about finding the love in your life within yourself and being excited about that. And then saying, hey, I actually have something to offer because I have my own light and I want them to have their own passion, light, and hope as well. And then working together as a team at that point. That's what I'm meaning by doing the work. It's like, look at it as a holiday. Look at it as a blessing in disguise. What happens when you get into traditional relationships? We tend to say, okay, ball and chain at the sink. Let's get back to business. And feminines, this is a big rise for you guys this year. This is a massive change for you guys to actually show you after the purging how much you've actually achieved. But going back to a point where you think that you can't, look at the work you achieved last year. Masculines are doing the work as well, but by looking at them and feeling somehow they're the only light, I mean, how can they be the only light if we can't be our only light? We've got to shine back and forward towards other people around us. Things that come towards you are part of your energetic lesson. They're also part of your soul growth and, what would I call it? They're part of your life. Don't discount them. Don't discount that those things that come towards you are lessons to help you grow, and they can get you there as quick as purging. They really can. We tend to undermine that and say, oh, well, this is why I say with astrology, have a look at it. It's going to give you the weather forecast. Then have a look at your birth chart. Then have a look at what's coming up for you energetically. It might be a childhood wound. It might be, hey, I couldn't have children and that's really affecting me. Or I'm afraid that I'm not worthy, or all of those things. They're all relevant. And one day you will be to a point where you will feel calm, potentially like a guru, if one can get to that point, where you can actually, not even knowingly so, guide someone to a point where you could actually potentially give them hope, help them move forward to be the best they can be. And it can be just a sentence. We don't understand how we're all interlinked and we all are like a chain reaction to affect each other. But when we're in the mindset of we're in victim mode and victim pain body mentality, that's why the purge had to happen last year. Not there to punish you, there to liberate you. And we do have work to do between now and 2020. The world's changing. The way we earn income's changing. Social Security's not there as much. We're going to have to think on our fate. We need to get our shit together. So when we're talking about purging in a romance, it's an aspect of our life, but it's also not just the life. We have a future in front of us. A lot of processing. Hot chocolate time. Yeah. So it's, don't discount. I mean, there's been children around me in the last few weeks that have had it real shitty. Mothers and fathers not being there for them, and anything that comes towards you as part of your soul growth. It's always happened to me. I wanted many children. My twins got kids. I had one. Very blessed. But things come towards you. So sometimes what's taken from you is for a reason. It's because you're there to guide children or you're there to do something else. So your energy will always be a soul parent, or, never look at yourself as void. Always look at the potential that things come towards you and things happen for a reason. And trust in that process because it's there for a reason. Yeah, do get prepared. It's the calm before the storm. That's all I'll say. The karmics are going to become quite aggressive. The karmics, though, it's no bother, if you know what I mean. You'll have a backbone like steel, girl. And I can hear a bee. It's so funny because my girlfriend the other day said that. I've got that much blooming hair, knowing my luck, it'll get stuck in there and it'll sting me. I had a bee in the bathroom the other day, a bee in the office. Oh, love hearts everywhere. Keep note, you'll start seeing love hearts again. A lot of heart chakra activation coming through in the readings. Hello. Yeah, but you know, energetically, they already know. Yeah, like I said, the feminines were really picking up on a lot of frequency of the karmic. Yeah, they're to do with the fact that love's around you, but we need to be love. We can't have love if we can't be love. So we need to be love. A lot of feminines are going to go through a compassion download where you're going to go, oh, shit, okay. Trust in the process. Nothing seems as it is right now. So what you think it's going to be, no, it's not going to be. It's going to be very different. Well, I hope, Rocky, in what I said, it can motivate you somehow. You know, this person that I talked to this morning moved away from a location that was a toxic situation. Then, you know, had the own home. Work has been a situation that needed to change. And the discussion we had together was, now look back to what it was back there. You know, yes, it might be the solution when we come home to an empty house and it's the same thing every day, but then look back to the worst scenario, which was the toxicity previously. Is it a better vibration? Now, we do have a thing that we have to look at. We can't go backwards, number one, and if we do, universe won't let us. I mean, a lot of people that I've channeled over the years, if it's not in your interest to go backwards and you choose to, in some shape or form, to go back to an easier scenario, Saturn takes effect and universe gives you 3 warnings and then it's taken from you regardless. So, for instance, you could think, okay, I'll move back to being in a certain way or being in a particular relationship that I know is not in my higher good. And then they leave you. So it's interesting how universe works. If that was not meant for you and your pain body experience comes up or your frequency gets a bit low and you're going, oh, fuck it, you know, I'm just going to do X, Y, and Z, it gets taken from you because you're not meant to go backwards. Now, that's not got to do with the twin. That's got to do with your energy and your lesson. If you've learnt it and your higher consciousness, you're going, I'm just going to go back to a different path because what's the point? It then comes crashing down again. So you stay in alignment of where you are and trust that the guides are going to protect you. It has been an overwhelming energy this month as well. It's very fatiguing. I was like, okay, bloody roller coaster. To a point, I've actually detached from certain situations. So if I hear a tone now, if I hear a certain vibration from a person's voice and I know it's lower frequency, similar to a lunar ash, I can't be in the frequency of it because I'm absorbing it. And I'm choosing not to because I'm tuning into it and it's toxic. So it's like, yeah, okay. And I know my throat chakra will tell the truth because I'll just get potty mouth going on. It's like, allow this person to energetically learn their lesson. Step out of the room so you don't have to receive the vibration. So it can be where you need to physically remove yourself from the dynamic and you'll see a massive change energetically. You know, if the home front is really getting to a point where it's really horrible and it's heavy, you know, detox your house. This month has been interesting and where when I say to people tune out of the energy and focus back on self, that has not been working because we needed to do this. We needed to detach. We needed to go back into that pain body experience to go, hey, once and for all, don't deal with this. You know, let it go. Let the last 10 years go. It feels like a funeral. It's bittersweet. You know, we can't go back. We wanted it to be better. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. It can be your childhood. It can be the way you wanted a story in a loving affair, the simplicity of perhaps a soulmate connection and how beautiful it was and grateful you were. And then getting to the point where you have to go, it's gone. Like the beauty, the horror, it's gone. Take the new beginning. It feels scary because we don't know what it's going to look like. But it can be very exciting as well because we're creating a new chapter. And think back to the time when you just didn't expect the best thing in the world to happen. And it happened and you were like, holy moly. Remember that, because that's what's going to get you through. Shh. Yeah, it does. And everyone's been feeling it. I mean, even my daughter's been feeling it.
Headache.
Shh. I'm doing a live session. Thank you very much. Hello. Free teenager for sale. It is like grieving. Jeez Louise. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. My cat's jumping over the bloody fence. My daughter's walking around like a zombie. Fuck. Don't. No. No. I will bite you. I am not in a collective energy good mood with you. No.
Oh, you're neglective.
I am not neglecting the cat.
Oh, look how sad she looks. I know, Jingles, it's okay. You got money.
Kill me now. The cat's been held upside down. The daughter's doing this when she knows that I don't appreciate it when I'm doing a live session. But this has been an ongoing thing with my daughter and I. So, you know. Hi, Burcu. How are you? Merhaba kızım, nasılsın? Group hug for teenagers. Oh, God, group hug for adults. I was laughing the other day. I said to my sister-in-law, I said, I want to go to jail so I can have a holiday.
Did you see the egg boy?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How about you? How's the family? Cool. Now, I'm just wondering. Now, is this the Burcu who's my cousin? Or is this another one? Yeah, my daughter mentioned that. I'm like, what's that about? My cousin has the same name as you. My first cousin. She lives in Cyprus. A big shout out to my cousin. Any questions while we're here? While I'm keeping everyone awake. Hello. Yeah, my cousin, she's in Cyprus. I've got cousins all the way around the world. England, Sussex, Essex, Cyprus. The internet just turned off. Mercury retrograde. Oh, well. No comment. Hi, Jen. How are you? It just turned off and come back on. Buffering again. Well, I will have to go shortly. I just wanted to give you guys the update. If you're needing a booking, you can go to the link directly below. I will do another check-in soon. And I hope you guys all look after yourselves. I just wanted to give you a bit of a heads up. Well, you can go back to the beginning of the video. It's still pre-recorded, so it'll still be there, and you'll be able to see it all the way from the beginning. But yeah, I am sensing there can be trigger points and connections and communication. But it's also, if they are in a karmic situation, what you will find is if there is conflict, it's really going to be shown. It will show us what we're in alignment with. We also need not be codependent and too triggered. So it's going to show us what we do want, what we don't want, what is working, what isn't working. Can be a more passionate time, but it's also about not putting too much pressure on each other right now, because it is a very heavy frequency. But, you know, don't get overwhelmed with it. But look at what you're willing to put the work into, and that can even be in your employment. Most welcome, Christy. Look after yourself. Surely will. I'll be here, and probably my twins' kids will be too, so we'll have to hide. I'll be in hiding. I'll be in hermit mode in the office. Love and light, guys. I'll talk to you soon.